Good morning, mentees. How are you? It feels like forever since I did a video for you guys. And so today's video is actually about grief. And it's all about the 7 stages of grief, what that looks like, how it comes in, and what we can do about going through that process, right? So, as most of you probably have heard, I had to put my beautiful, beautiful Oli girl down on Friday, April 24th, 2020. And I mean, that was one of the hardest, most difficult decisions I've had to make in my 45 years of living. But one of the things that, even though I made the choice to do it, I honestly thought, okay, I'm not going to have to go through the major process of grief. And I actually did, because it can't be ignored. And I still have to go through that process, right? And so the 7 stages of grief are shock, which is usually the first step. Then there's denial. Then there's anger. Then there's bargaining. Then there's depression. Then there's testing, and there's acceptance. And those are the stages that we need to go through. And as a medium, it is so very important for my clients to understand that as well, that there are stages that they need to go through. And while they're going through that, their loved ones on the other side, once they've crossed over, are going through a life review. They're going through a process. They're understanding and trying to learn different ways that they can communicate, how they can communicate, what they can and cannot do, and how much energy it takes to do that. And so, the first part, which is shock, it's that initial paralyzed feeling you get at hearing the bad news. And I truly went through that process. I'm going to talk about Oli because it's fresh. And so when I dropped Oli off on Friday, I went in there, dropped her off thinking, my girl's going to get her cast off. It's going to be healed. She's going to come home. And an hour and a half after I dropped her off, I got that call that none of us want to receive, right? And so in the process of kind of trying to figure out what had just transpired, I was angry. I was so mad. I was mad at myself for how did I not see this? I was mad at the vets. How did you not see this 3 weeks earlier? How did this happen? How did we go from a healthy dog to having a broken leg to finding out she's in stage 4 cancer, and there's a 30% chance she would even survive if she had the surgery and chemo? So I was definitely in that stage of oh my God, what is this? Why is this happening? What is my life lesson? But I was so mad. And I wasn't just mad at myself. I wasn't just mad at the vets. I was mad at God. I was mad at my mom. All these different feelings started to surface. But if I had ignored that, it would have gotten worse, and it would have festered into other ways. And then I would have propelled almost like verbal diarrhea over everyone and anything that was in my path, right? And so we really need to isolate that. We need to figure out, how do we get through this process? What do we need to do to come through this on the other side? And one of the things that I discovered was that by journaling and writing down and crying and being emotional, and it was okay to be angry, and it was okay to be upset, and I didn't have to be, okay, this was a great decision, right? I could go through that process. It propelled me into the next part, which was denial. There was a part of me that was no, this can't be right. You guys have made a mistake. This isn't my dog's x-ray. I was denying it. I was denying that I had to go through this. Why? Why in a year, from when I lost Chewy to now a year later and 3 weeks later, I'm having to put down Oli? And why now? Why? Right? So I was trying to avoid the choices. I was trying to avoid the inevitable of like, this has to be done. I was like, no, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to talk to my partner. I'm going to find out what he thinks we should do and make a decision based off that, right? And so I was in that stage of denial, and I was denying everything. Then I got into the stage of anger, which was frustration and outpouring of bottled up emotions that I had been holding through all my griefs, right? I'd been holding it back. And that's why it's so important to be going through these, life healing journeys, but as well as that, but also going through like a spiritual journey as well. And the benefit is that not only was I able to go through that shock and go through that denial, and now I'm in that state of anger where I'm still mad. I'm still trying to figure out why, what happened, what went wrong, right? And so I'm frustrated with everybody and everything. And so the way I dealt with that is I avoided everything. I just wanted to hide away. I wanted to pretend it didn't happen. I wanted to just deny, and allow myself to be angry and to go through that process of anger. The next part that came up was bargaining. And it was like seeking in my own selfish way to bargain my way out of this, to be like, okay, can you just like give me back my dog? Like, can we just go back to a place where she was healthy? She didn't have a broken leg. Like, can you give me the cancer? Like, I was literally saying all these different things in that motion, right? Because I was stuck in that place and I didn't understand it. I couldn't fathom it. I didn't know. And so now, not only am I in my bargaining chips and offering bargaining chips to God and to the vets and to different things, but I'm still in my shock. I'm still in my denial. I'm still in my anger. So I found other creative ways. I was baking. I was eating. I was cleaning. I was doing things to take my mind off it so I didn't have to focus on it, right? And then came in the stage on Saturday morning. It was like I woke up and I gave up. I just wanted to run away. I didn't want to deal with anything. And so I became very, very emotional, didn't want to talk to anyone. I was like not eating, not sleeping. In the 24 hours after Oli passed, I'd only had 2 hours sleep. And I was just feeling the emotions. And I didn't want to get stuck there. And so I had to find ways to bring myself out. So I was smudging. I was listening to music. I was trying to raise my vibrations. I was trying to still help other people so that I didn't have to focus on me, because it's so much easier to help others than it is to help ourselves. Right? And then the next step was the testing, and that's seeking realistic solutions. And with this testing part and finding those realistic solutions, I came up with ways to help me go through the grief. I sat there and looked at pictures. I sat there and cried. I sat there and wrote things. I wrote Oli's obituary. I looked at her pictures. I held her pictures. I held her teddy bear. I did whatever I could to help. I journaled. I colored. I watched the movie A Dog's Journey and bawled my eyes out. Like, there's ways that we can get through this process without feeling so held back. Grief is real. And even as a medium, so many people think that as a medium and as a psychic that I don't have to go through that process. I still do. And so do you, right? Don't run away from it. Face it. Face your fear of dealing with grief and loss and death, whether it's a physical and someone actually dies and crosses over, or it's the loss of a relationship. It's the ending of a relationship, an ending of a job. We build these connections, we build these bonds, and so we're going to go through that grief process. The last step is where I'm at now, and it's acceptance. And I'm not saying that everyone's going to be the same, but what I am saying is that right now, because I'm a medium, because I understand where she is, because I've seen the signs and symbols that she sent me already since Friday, I'm in that place of acceptance. I've accepted it. And I'm not saying that the grief is going to be that quick. It's not going to be that easy. It's a process. But because I've been doing what I've been doing for so long, I have a greater understanding of where she is, what she's doing, what she's going through. And I'm open today to receiving the messages and the signs and symbols she sends me. And right now she's sending me a whole lot of feathers. And so is Chewy. And so I have acceptance in that. The other thing is that finally finding the way to go forward, right? My way of finding a way to go forward is that I'm thinking about her. I'm getting pictures drawn of her, and people are painting pictures of her. I'm spending time training Bella and spending time with Oracle, and building that relationship and that bond with another dog is what's helping me. I'm not saying this is the option for everybody. I'm not saying that Bella's here to replace Chewy or replace Oli, but she's definitely helping me through my grief, and she's helping me through that process. And I still have to wake up every single day because she still needs me to help her. And I feel, if anything, that going through the process of grief, finding ways to utilize that process and not getting stuck in there, but going through it, is how you rise above it. Grief is not something that changes overnight. Grief is not something that heals overnight, and you don't heal overnight from it. There's no time limit on how long a person goes through grief, and there's no time restriction either. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's not a long one, but I just wanted to go over these steps and to let you know that when you're going through this, that you don't, you don't have to go through it alone. I'm going to give you some things also. I'm going to talk about this. And here's the other thing. And there's another step too, and it's the 8th step. But shock is wait, what just happened? Nothing meant anything. They spent an extra year on it and screwed it all up. You're just in shock, right? The second step is denial. It's that no, this can't be real. Don't tell me I wasted, time and effort into this thing or that thing. Did I waste money buying the cast and getting the cast done? Was this in going to be the end result anyways? Anger is this is so dumb. Someone's going to pay. I'm so angry. Why are these vets so, dumb and stupid and things like that? And they're not. They did what they needed to do, just like I had to make that decision. The bargaining is we will make them redo this. They'll be can you fix this? You owe me money. There's bargaining, right? Depression is you're sad. You're giving up hope. You're giving up the end result. Testing is I need to move on, but how do I move on? How do I go from here? How do I go from losing her to loving Bella, right? And that's where I'm at, right? And then testing is, that was the testing. Acceptance is how do I get here? How do I get past this? What do I need to do to better my life, to forward this journey? And then the last one is fuck it all, right? Fuck it all. Go through the motions, go through it, everything, and then move forward. And it's not going to be an easy process. It is a stage-by-stage process. But you need to go through each of these stages to have the end result of the greatest healing of your life. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to be a process, but you can do it. And you're not alone during that process. Reach out when you're going through grief. Talk to people. And I know with COVID right now, we're going through a lot of loss. There's a lot of people losing loved ones because of COVID. But know that you're not alone. That I got you. That your tribe here has you. We love you. And I'm so very proud of each and every single one of you for embracing on this journey onto every avenue that you need to. Love and light. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Bye, guys.